Hello everybody, it's your favorite time-traveling Pine Martin, Murphy Slaw. Welcome to video blog number 8. This will be show 3 alpha, or 3A. In previous shows, I've discussed children's programs, some from Filmation and some from Sid and Marty Krofft shows. Now I'm going to be doing a bunch of independent shows that were anywhere from the 70s to the 90s, from all different sorts. These are not going to be any of the popular shows that practically everybody knows about. Bugs Bunny, Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, anything like that. What I'm going to be doing is discussing little known shows that only lasted for a few years, that there's been no attempt at making a comeback or remake or continuation, sequel, etc. Some of you may have heard of some of these, but because of the short duration of them, probably not. The first show I wish to discuss is Kid Video. Kid Video basically played from 1984 to 1985 in half-hour segments. It's a show that's sort of each episode started and ended in live action, but in the middle it was mostly animation, with the intro transitioning from one to the other. The show was about 4 high school friends who were all in their own rock band. The show was heavily influenced by MTV, so they had that 90s, 80s type of rock style. The 4 players are Kid Video, who also is the leader of the band by the same name. He plays the guitar and he's basically the singer. Then you have Carla, the only female of the group, who's a drummer. Quiz, who is the nerdy keyboardist and guitar player. And you have Ash, who is usually shown as clumsy. He plays the keyboards, the bass, and saxophone. The premise of the story is that these 4 went to a warehouse to practice some of their music, and before it started they uncovered this one mirror. They started playing, and at the end of their song, it's like the music suddenly turned sour, kind of like microphone feedback. When they looked in the mirror, there was a bright light, and in sort of the mirror, from within the mirror, came this very large man in a sort of floating chair, who basically said, "Welcome to the flip side." He presses a button, there's a bright flash, and the next thing when everybody's vision clears, they suddenly realize that they've been sent into a cartoon. The fat man, who is known as Master Blaster, he travels around in a giant jukebox, and he tries to bolster his popularity by abducting players from our world into his, and having them pipe through to the copycats, which were feline players that only played in the style of the captured musicians. The Kid Video, along with their vehicle and their instruments, were all kept in large floating diamonds. They were rescued by a fairy named Glitter, who has a very powerful sneeze. This managed to break open the crystals, and they managed to get away. Each show is has as sort of a theme a song from the 1980s and 70s. Like the very first episode sort of focuses on Lionel Richie's All Night Long. They actually had the copycats play it, and in each episode they actually show like MTV style videos of the actual players. These aren't fan made or anything. These are the actual legitimate videos. Like the first one, they actually show Lionel Richie's All Night Long, as showing what Master Blaster has captured. Now, in this show, like at the end of each show, they actually play their own songs. Kid Video actually produces their own songs for each episode. They don't just recreate others. One little interesting thing about this program is that it was actually quite popular in Israel, where they produce all sorts of memorabilia from it. They had probably albums with all their songs in it, so it was a pretty good show, despite it only being around for about 2 years. Now another show that's purely animated is D&D, which was named after the main game Dungeons and Dragons. The show was about 6 friends, ages 8 to 15, who go on this roller coaster ride, the Dungeons and Dragons ride. In the middle of it, it seems okay to some and sort of boring to others, but the whole landscape, everything just sort of swirled around until they were sent into this other world. And they found themselves dressed in the style of clothes of one of the major classes in Dungeons and Dragons. There they meet up with this little gnome-like creature who is the Dungeon Master, and he gives them each magic weapons which are based upon their class. For instance, the characters are, you have Hank, who is the ranger. He is like in a green tunic and green clothes. He's given a magic bow. Magic bow will, when he pulls it back, will produce shiny arrows that can shoot out like energy. They can combine to make different like cages and whatnot. He is kind of the leader of the group. He is make sure that everybody stays together, tries to keep everybody safe. You have Hank, who is, you have Eric, who is the Cavalier. Eric is kind of the spoiled brat. He's kind of cowardly. He thinks he's right, but it doesn't mean that he really abandons his friends. When worst comes to worst, he will stick by him. He has a magic shield that, when held aloft, it will create sort of a force field. He's also kind of the comic relief of the group. Next you have Diana. She is the acrobat and has been given a staff. The magic staff can extend or shorten, and if it is ever broken, she can just put the 2 pieces together and it will be as one. With her, she's kind of a tomboy, and she can act as sort of the secondary leader of the group if something should happen to Hank. She's very confident and very positive going. Next you have Albert, aka Presto, who is naturally the magician. He's kind of like a geeky type character, rather shy, very low esteem. His magic hat allows him, if he reaches in there, he can pull out anything. Usually it's something to help out the group, but it doesn't always turn out that way. So, he can pull out ladders, he can pull out different weapons and whatnot. He does try, but again, things don't always go the way they planned. Next in the group is Sheila. She is the thief of the group. Now with her, she has a magic owl, and that's what? No, not magic owl. I'm not talking. No Harry Potter references. Not like that. Excuse me. Let me try again. She has a magic ape, and no, not magic ape. I'm not talking about a simian magician. Okay, a magical hoodie, if you will. When she puts the hood over her head, she can become invisible. So she is kind of extremely shy and tends to get lonely a lot, but she is very dedicated towards her young brother, who is the last member of the original 6 group, which is Bobby. He's 8 years old. He can be rather brash, impulsive, sort of does stuff without thinking. His character is a barbarian. He's dressed up in like the pointy hat, the animal skin cloak and whatnot. He has a magic club. When this club is struck on the ground, it can cause earthquakes. He can use it to bat heavy objects off. Along with them, they have Uni, which is sort of a talking unicorn that's gotten attached to Bobby. Now, the object of the whole thing is they're trying to get back into their own world. And a lot of times the Dungeon Master tries to help them find ways to get out. But a lot of his clues are rather cryptic. And so they're having to try to figure out what they mean in order to get to where they're going. Now, the main protagonist of the show, the one that is constantly trying to get them to get all of their weapons so that it can augment his, is Venger. He is basically the force of evil, and he's sort of a evil wizard. Now, he's managed, every now and then he captures one of the group, but the rest of them manage to outsmart him, rescue him, and take him away. He is assisted by a shadow demon who is sort of a spy and assistant. Now, in sort of a neutral capacity, amoral if not immoral, you have Tiamat, those who are not familiar with D&D, Tiamat is basically a 6-headed dragon. She is immensely powerful. Each head is a different color, and each head also has a different weapon, sort of that corresponds to that color. You have, I'm sorry, not 6-headed, 5-headed, excuse me. She has, her white head will shoot ice, her green head will shoot a toxic gas, her red head, which is in the middle, will shoot fire, her blue head will shoot lightning, and her black head will shoot acid. And again, they go through all sorts of adventures, attacking creatures that are sort of familiar in the D&D world, and again trying to get home. Now, one last show for this particular part, I'll discuss some others in part 3B, is a very little known show by the name of Pandemonium. The show went from 1982 and 1983. Now, the show dealt with a very powerful figure that was out in space somewhere called Mondragon, or Mondragor, who was after the Pyramid of Power. In his attempt to get it, the pyramid was shattered and pieces were scattered all over Kingdom Come. One of these pieces happened to land on Earth and basically bounce off the heads of 3 pandas. You have Chester, Timothy, and Algernon. Now, as it bounced off the heads, it conferred each of them a power. Basically, their power is when they come together, they can form this. They can form like the Papa Panda, which is a being of immense power that can actually fend off Mondragor. Along with the humans Peter and Peggy, they go out to try to gather up all these pieces and recombine them to make the Pyramid of Power. The show was not all that successful. It only ran for about 1 season. And that is all I'm going to do for part 3A. I will be doing part 3B in just a little bit, so I will see y'all later. This is Murphy's Law, time traveling Pine Martin, saying goodbye and talk to you later.